Hey, I'm Jim Barry, and this is Miami Life, the show that taps into what's going on and what folks are talking about here in South Florida. And once again, politics is a hot topic. And again, much of the chatter is about President Joe Biden. After his dismal debate performance 2 weeks ago, there have been more calls from members within his own party to step aside. And some of the latest polls also not encouraging for Biden. The latest CBS News poll, taken right after the debate, showed that 72% of registered voters believe that the 81-year-old president should not seek re-election. And that number is up 10% since February. Now, to counter the skepticism, Biden has stepped up his appearances and done a lot of appearances on TV, but will his age and signs of aging become too big of a hurdle to overcome? We recently wrestled with the topic of ageism in our multi-generational segment, 20, 40, 60, and we thought it would be worthwhile now to revisit. Age has become one of the central issues in the upcoming presidential campaign, a race that seems certain to come down to 81-year-old incumbent President Joe Biden and 77-year-old former President Donald Trump. Some polls indicate a growing number of voters think Biden is too old to serve another term. One notable pundit, legendary sportscaster Bob Costas, is really sounding off.
His own staff knows that he has to be bubble wrapped, that he can't do a Super Bowl interview. It's sad to say, Biden is obviously on balance a decent man. He's served his country, and no matter what, sane people will vote for him over Trump. But it's a hell of a risk to send this guy out there.
But should age be an automatic disqualifier in politics or any other field? Tony, let me start with you. Do you think that maybe when it comes to ageism, we judge the book by its cover a bit too quickly?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, humans, we're visual, so you know when we see a guy, he looks old. You see a little bit of gray hair or a lot of gray hair, you automatically kind of assumes, well, he's elderly. He's probably not as sharp.
I think that in the case of Joe Biden, you listen to the man, he knows what he's talking about. His speech is very fluid and he's very sharp. And I know a lot of people his age and older who are sharp and with it. Conversely, there are people who are much younger, a decade or more younger, who cannot put two sentences together.
It's the age-old question. How old is too old? I asked our panelists to weigh in, and their answers were surprising. Samantha, I'll start with you. Someone is elderly or old when they are in their...
Okay, well, I would say when you get like A or P age, like what is that?
That's
like
55.
You're getting benefits.
Okay. Andrea, what do you say about that?
Never. Never.
In our rush to embrace youth and everything that's fresh and new, are we discarding well-earned wisdom? Our youngest panelist, FIU journalism student Samantha Gutierrez, says she prefers to learn from older people, but wonders if they are as plugged in to the modern world.
Somebody that's older, I always feel like I'm going to get a greater amount of knowledge just because they have more experience. But especially recently, there's so many new things coming out that when I learn from somebody younger, I learn the current, and they also recently learned it, so it's easier to transmit that knowledge to me because it's quick.
Tony Brown, our 40-something engineer and entrepreneur, jumped in to say it's a mistake to not learn all we can from the older generation. Tony, when you hear that, how do you react to that?
Well, I mean...
Is she right?
Technology is moving every day, and there are some things that the older generation, may not get or understand. They're not moving as fast with the technology, but as far as wisdom and their life experiences, I think that older people have a lot to offer.
Andrea Robinson, representing the 60-something crowd, is a former editor at the Miami Herald. While she believes age and experience are taken for granted too often, she picks up a lot of things, she says, from the kids.
There are things now that are coming out. It's not on my bucket list, on my radar screen, and I have to call them. So tell me about this whole thing with Wendy Williams. What's going on with that?
And the documentary and all that, yeah.
The documentaries that are out, the Cam Newton. How did that come about? How did that happen? And explain this to me.
Ageism seems rampant in corporate America, where veteran workers are often forced out to make way for younger employees who often make less money. Such cost-cutting measures come with a steep price, namely losing valuable real-world experience.
I think it just comes with educating the public, educating younger people, and getting them to understand the value of having someone older on the team or on the job that could impart those experiences and knowledge to them that would actually help that younger generation, grow and develop and progress.
Ageism can cut both ways. Samantha, the budding digital journalist, says her youth has actually hurt her chances at landing internships. Frustrates you when that happens?
It's frustrating because then I feel like I have to prove myself.
Andrea, the veteran news editor, also had some sage advice for Samantha as she pursues her journalism career.
Get a mentor. That's the first thing. And in your case, you're Hispanic, join the National Association of Hispanic Journalists, or even NABJ, the Black Journalists, and network. We've been there, we know people, we can give you the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts. Now, whether or not you listen, that's a whole nother thing. I can't help you with that.
Thanks to our panelists for that recent conversation a couple of months back. All right, heading to the beach is a huge part of Miami life, but it is crucial for beachgoers to know of one potential danger, and that is getting caught in a rip current. Our Nakaya Carrera recently hit the water to show us what to do if that happens.
Do you know what to do if you find yourself in a rip current?
I do. You're supposed to swim sideways and not towards it, I should say. So yeah, you swim sideways out of it.
Honestly, no, because this is my first time in Florida, so you're gonna have to tell me.
While some people may have an idea of how to navigate rip currents, others have found out the hard way.
Like true terror. And I just thought, okay, someone told me at one point, swim at a diagonal if this ever happens to you. And I did, and I swam really, really hard.
Cressa Phillips isn't alone in her fear of rip currents. Miami Beach's Ocean Rescue had a total of 400 rescues caused by rip currents in 2023.
When you're looking at the water, the area that has the crashing waves is actually a safer place than where it's flat and dark, because that's the deeper channel of water where the rip current is.
A rip current is a narrow channel of water that is fast moving. According to Miami Beach Ocean Rescue, identifying a rip current may be hard for the untrained eye.
The water goes through the low-lying area and it finds the path of least resistance, so it goes through the deeper channel, which causes that narrow channeled funnel of water that goes away from shore. So it's not pulling you under, it's pulling you away from the beach.
And on this day, I found out how strong that current can be as I was shown how to get out of a rip current. A busy day on South Beach packed with people, and no one had any clue there was a rip current right next to them. The sand underneath our feet was gone as our bodies were being pulled away from shore.
The first thing you should do is stay calm, okay? Keep your head above water and float. If you're staying above water and floating, you can wave or yell for help from the lifeguards. As the rip current dissipates, you're going to want to swim parallel to shore. You never want to swim straight in because you're in the rip current and you can cause you to tire and maybe drown. So wait till it dissipates and then swim parallel to shore.
After swimming out of the current, I felt like I just swam a marathon. I had a trained rescuer there watching over me, making sure we were okay. Now imagine doing it to save your own life.
When you come out to the beach, you should always swim near a lifeguard. Ask them where the most safest place to swim is, and they'll tell you. Usually it's in front of them.
Casanova says rip currents are year-round and are the reason behind 80% of beach rescues. In Miami Beach, Nakaya Carrero, CBS News, Miami.
Well, up next on Miami Life, the push to make railroad crossings safer. Why drivers now face stiff penalties for being reckless around the train tracks. It's certainly a problem here. And if you love true crime shows like the real CSI Miami, then you will absolutely love this. We go behind the scenes with the City of Miami's actual crime scene investigators to show how they use breakthrough technology to crack a case. Well, welcome back. Well, in South Florida, our railroad tracks are certainly being put more to use. As commuter trains have become more popular, there has been one troubling issue. The state of Florida is near the top of the list for crashes and deaths at railroad crossings. Well, a new law takes aim at drivers who are reckless around train tracks. Austin Carter explains.
It is a dangerous and sometimes deadly mix.
I see the trains coming by. People are just trying to speed by this crazy.
Vehicles on railroad tracks with the gates down at crossings in South Florida.
They try to go as fast as they can, and sometimes they don't make it.
According to Operation Lifesaver, Florida is the 4th highest state for railroad crossing crashes in the nation. They also report Florida having the 4th highest number for deaths of people trespassing on tracks. Our CBS News data journalists finding a number of rail lines in our area have been involved in crossing crashes, including Tri-Rail, Amtrak, Brightline, and Freight lines. Since 2017, we have counted over 700 crossing crashes in the state, about 30% of them across Broward and Miami-Dade counties. Our research found the crossing here at Northeast 141st Street in North Miami has had more crashes than others in our area over the past few years. 9 crashes in total since 2017, where Brightline and FEC freight trains roll through.
When you see those gates and lights, the only thing that should be in there is a train.
The executive director for the SFRTA, which operates Tri-Rail, knows all too well the impact crashes have. David Deck is a former railroad engineer.
This is devastating for the crews that are involved. It's devastating. It certainly impacts the passengers on the trains, and that doesn't even get into the tragedy surrounding the injuries or loss of life at the crossing.
Now action is being taken. Tri-Rail is part of the Florida Rail Alliance, a group of railroads that widely supports HB 1301, a new Florida law cracking down on drivers and pedestrians that take risks near the tracks. If you break the law, you must pay a $500 fine or do 25 hours of community service plus 6 points against your driver's license. For every violation after, the fine jumps to $1,000 with another 6 points against your license. And the message is clear, it's just not worth the risk out here at these crossings. Now, as for some of the safety improvements on the way, Tri-Rail tells me that they'll be upgrading about 50 crossings over the next year and a half. Some of those improvements will happen to the gates themselves. They'll be brightening some of the LED lights and increasing signage. I'm Austin Carter, CBS News, Miami.
Austin, thank you. Still to come on Miami Life, we go on the scene with the real CSI Miami. See how these real-life investigators combine high-tech tools and old-fashioned detective skills to solve crimes. Well, Wednesday nights on CBS, the real CSI Miami shows how investigators solve actual crimes. CBS News Miami recently got a chance to watch real-life crime scene investigators at work. And unlike what you might see on a TV show, it is a time-consuming process involving cutting-edge technology and plenty of patience. My colleague Anna McAllister gives us an inside look at the real CSI Miami.
When you watch your favorite crime scene episode, it seems like the case is always solved in about an hour, but that is rarely, if ever, the case for these crime scene investigators. And we spoke to CSI here at the City Miami Police Department, and they showed us the methods and the ways and the technology that they use to help them solve crimes. When crime strikes in Miami, you'll find police rushing to the scene. And along with the officers, you'll see CSI scouring for evidence. It's what this team does day in and day out.
I don't try to blow up CSI and make it seem like it's some Hollywood show that we do. I explain to them that we don't solve crimes in an hour and 3 commercial breaks. It doesn't happen that way. It takes time to do what we do. Time to solve a variety of cases. The CSI team doesn't just investigate murders. They help solve other crimes through meticulous analyzation and collection of evidence. It's a process that stretches from the crime scene to the police department, where science and technology take over.
We can see, with the different spectrums, what is there that you don't see normally.
Jeff Campos is one of the CSI supervisors, and this is the UV light that he uses to examine evidence.
If you have blood on the floor, right? And people use Clorox and everything to clean it up. We use alternate light source to show that the blood is still there.
There's also a high-tech and high-priced scanner. It's brought to every crime scene, and within minutes, it can take millions of pictures used to develop a 3D visual of the scene. You may have seen super glue used to collect evidence in your favorite CSI Miami episode. It's a real tool. With just a dime-sized amount of super glue, this chamber heats it up, creating a fume that sticks to fingerprints left on pieces of evidence.
Mostly what goes in here is like guns, some knives, but mostly guns.
You know that the work you do is what's going to aid the investigation. It's what's going to aid the investigators and the detectives in getting their answers. The work that we do in here or with these specific machines is what gets them their answers.
When CSI collects fingerprints, they send them up for analysis, where each print is thoroughly examined for potential matches.
All of the information that I've already looked at would be passed to a second examiner, and then they would essentially review all of the work and make their own assessment.
It's a tedious but critically important job, and it's the work of CSI that detectives say makes the difference in getting justice for victims.
It's not all glitz and glamour. A lot of it's out there and sweating and looking for that fingerprint.
And when I asked these crime scene investigators about the future of their field, they say that they're relying heavily on technology and that technology is developing every single day. But for now, reporting from the City of Miami Police Department, Anna McAllister, CBS News, Miami.
Okay, Anna, thank you so much for that fascinating look at how real crime fighters do their jobs. Don't forget, you can catch episodes of The Real CSI Miami Wednesday nights at 10 on CBS Miami. Miami Life, meantime, we'll be right back. All right, we want to let you know that next week in Miami Life, we're going to revisit the oldest school building in Broward County, the old Davie School. It's a great place full of local history.
It was a farming community, so the kids did help with the farm work, and we'll have report cards where we can see the absences that would line up with the harvesting season. So we do know that they did have to go help their families on the farm, but the rest of the time they were here, they were at school.
Also, we're going to talk about Miami in the movies. Hollywood loves the 305. We're going to talk with an expert about some of the most memorable films that were based here in the Magic City. Finally, we love getting feedback from the Miami Life audience, and quite a few of you had something to say about Governor Ron DeSantis' decision to veto $32 million in funding for arts programs all across the state. The governor's decision questioned by more than a few viewers. One wrote, "Strange, why would anyone not like art?" But another commenter defended the governor, saying, quote, "The arts organizations want grants for stuff that right now isn't important at the moment." That's that person's viewpoint. And another user said the programs impacted should change their approach and charge for their performances. We should point out that many groups affected by the cuts say it is not that simple. Keep sending us your comments and feedback to cbsmiami@cbs.com. That's going to do it for this week's Miami Life. Remember, we'll see you every Thursday for Miami Life at 6:30 on our streaming platforms and at 10 p.m. over the air on TV 33. I'm Jim Berry. Thanks for watching. See you soon.